All right, and we are live. What is up, everybody? Aaron the Dog back with the same shirt on, different card. So yes, I'm wearing the same shirt. This is 2 cards in the same day. Three cards technically, if you want to count the PFL 8 card, which I'm having trouble counting PFLs at this point. But either way, that's neither here nor there. Bellator 284 video just up on channel, naming Gracie taking on Goti Yamauchi. In the main event there should be a good one. But we're here to cover Cage Warriors 142 from Wales. With me, as always, are usual for my Cage Warriors breakdowns, the European MMA expert himself, overall MMA expert, Lewis of Norton MMA. How you doing?
There's a nice statement, isn't it? Not true,
Sure.
but I like it.
100%. 100%.
Oh, yeah. No, this card looks sneaky, isn't it? A lot of good fights on this card that these guys don't fight regularly enough.
Yeah, it's not a bad card. I think particularly one fight I'm interested in, I find more sneaky than a lot of people might be the co-main event. I think that's one that people are browsing over and maybe making an assumption that Bonnar just kind of keeps rolling. And I'm not so sure on that one. So a little hint there. But yeah, it's a good card. There's been better Cage Warriors cards for sure. But I'm glad to see Sam Creasy being able to fight finally. We'll see about this Stipe Brcic guy. I don't know much about him. So it'll be interesting. I'm interested to hear what you have to say about that. But yeah, it's an 11 fight card. Luke Riley is on the main card now as well. So it's listed at 10, but it's 11 fights. There's amateur card as well. And we're starting with, as you put it, a bang average fight. I don't, think that's a good thing. I haven't used that term before, but Owen Williams, not a guy I was able to find a lot on, taking on the Voodoo, the Voodoo Child? And Sean McCormick. So Northern Ireland here. We've got the Chris Rees Academy Welsh fighter fighting at home in Owen Williams. Sean McCormick 1-1 as a pro, lost by arm triangle choke to an 0-2 Tetu Piaz in his last fight. For that guy, decision win over an 0-1 fighter. So 0-3 combined record as a pro, not great. 3-1 amateur record, but he lost to one guy who had more than one win by decision over Clan Wars. Owen Williams 2-2, not much better here. Did lose to Mitchell Good with Cage Warriors Academy, which is Mitchell Good's not a bad level of opponent. It's probably the most positive thing we can say about either guy is he lost to the better guy. What have you heard about Owen, if anything, and Sean in this fight? It's a pretty tough one to make a read on, honestly.
Well, Sean's an interesting one because he's in the same camp. He's at Fight Academy Ireland, which is the same camp as like Decky Dalton and Paul Hughes, who's fighting Vucenic, and Carl Moore, the ex-champion, who's fighting Carl Elbrickson, I think, soon.
Yeah.
So he's at a really good camp for this level in Ireland, whereas Owen's with the only guy that I know very decently is Aiden James that he trains with. So the level of camps is significantly different. And from what the tape I've seen of Owen, there's not a lot to go on. He's slow moving. He hasn't got incredible power. He doesn't do anything, one thing specifically well. It's just an average all-round game. Whereas Sean at the moment, to me, is just he's looking for that knockout. I know he has a rear naked choke on his amateur record, but he's looking for the hands. And for me, I think Sean's just a little bit more improved. I know the records don't necessarily suggest it. He looked terrible last time out. So
yes,
when you're betting on low level MMA, it's a real dice roll, isn't it? Because then you don't know how improved these guys are from the last time you saw them, and I don't even know.
And the Welsh fighter is Owen, so he's gonna have the crowd.
Yeah, I don't know how old Owen is either.
Yeah, it's a tough. This is a tough one, man. And that's why I'm a little surprised at the odds here. They got Owen Williams as a significant underdog here in the States at plus 160, minus 225 on Sean McCormick.
Might just be because of who he trains with. He's training with, the interim Cage Warriors champion, featherweight champion at the moment.
Yeah, very true. And this fight is at 185, so that's what we're going to cover on that fight. Next fight, a guy who I touted very, very highly coming in to his fight 2 fights ago, Matthew Byfield. I Said to put him in parlays at minus, I believe, 600 in his last 2 fights ago. And man, Williams trains with Shore Gym now, UFC betting experience.
Okay.
So live dog, he says.
Yeah, it's a live dog then.
Yeah, that's fine. Sure, I'm not going to bet on either guy. In all honesty, there's 4 fight cards this weekend. You don't have to do it. But if you do, I understand. So Matthew Byfield, I was all over this guy coming in, the English guy out of Team Renegade, training with Tom Breeze. Maybe he has similar anxiety issues to Tom Breeze, performance anxiety, because I'm not seeing that guy in his last 2 fights. It's been bad. It's been really bad and shaky. And now, 30 years old, he's going down to a 2-4 former heavyweight named Shrek, and Simone Gitzquick or something out of Poland, now fighting on Norway. His nickname is Shrek. He's 5'11". He's very old. I think he's in his late 30s. He's not listed on Tapology, but hasn't fought in MMA in a little bit. And when he does fight, it's in exhibitions with Wotor, which I'm not familiar with, and he's losing. It's an open weight, three minutes plus overtime. He lost by eye injury last time out, got KO'd the time before that, finished 2 fights with an Achilles lock and a heel hook over guys without records, got ground and pounded out, got KO'd again, got struck out. When he loses, he gets ended. Matthew Byfield, last 2 have been bad. 3-1 though. Still somehow, because it was a no contest against Hugo Guillen, because he kneed him in the balls. And yeah, it was just bad. I mean, he was struggling with that fight. Lost to Pauline Bigai with Levels Fight League as well. I mean, it's been a rough go about it. Got 3 finishes and his 3 wins all in the first round. If he doesn't end Shrek in the first round, Shrek probably breaks him. I mean, until otherwise proven, Byfield seems to have 5 minutes or less. So for me, I'll take Byfield, but I'm not falling for it again, minus 550.
Yeah, I wouldn't fall for a minus 550. That's crazy.
But heavyweight, former heavyweight.
Yeah, but Cincovich is like, the nice way of putting it, he's shit. He's a he's a custom rules exhibition fighter. This is a complete, let's get Matthew Byfield back on a winning run fight. This is a boxing fight, essentially. Yes. That kind of, the way they build a record back up. And weirdly, he's a good grappler. He's not a great striker. I think if Matthew Byfield's going to absolutely smoke him inside a few minutes, I think. The first, from what I've seen against Cincovich, is as soon as he gets touched, he just gives up. Yeah. Just rolls over and says, right. I'm done. So, but he has, you see his record at 2-4. He's got a lot of combat experience. If you want to throw that into any form of conversation, he's had a good 15 fights in just all competitions in combat. So, I still think Matthew Byfield's going to be wiping the floor with him. I don't think anyone's betting on Cincovich here.
Yeah, no, he should. We're going to move on.
He should.
Yeah, we're going to move on to the next fight here. This is at a catch weight of 174 pounds. George McManus taking on Milton Afonso Capral here. This is, an interesting one. George McManus, when he loses, gets knocked out. And he's been knocked out 3 times now in his very limited career. Milton, when he wins, gets knockouts. So that's, kind of the easy go about it here. But real quick, King B Milton, he's going to be he's 6 foot tall versus the 6 foot tall McManus, 32 years old out of Portugal. So a little bit older, pretty limited career so far, has fought very low levels of competition. He has put all 3 of those guys away with KO. He was put away with KO. George McManus, 2-3, the Hangman. He's faced a much better level of competition, losing to Machado, Gary, and Oban Elliott in his last 2. A win over Josh Plant by reverse triangle. Definitely nothing to, kind of blink at in his Cage Warriors debut. This is going to be his 4th fight with Cage Warriors. He has a fight with ACB as well in his debut. Really good amateur record as well. Milton has the KO power. I think that's about it. And he's very unproven here. I got to go with George McManus to get to 500. It's a misleading record here, and I think that he can go on a run here. So I like McManus. I think he's much more well-rounded. I think he can win a firefight, but I also think he could just take the ground, win win with the grappling. So I like McManus. Minus 185 is purely based on a 2-3 record against a 3-1 guy with finishes, but combined record of 0-5 on the 4 fighters for Milton in his career.
Also, as well, that he did run into Oban Elliott when he was on his little run, and Ian Gary. So,
right. Ian Machado Gary.
Yeah, Machado now. I mean,
suddenly that Brian Battle call out of Ian Gary doesn't seem crazy.
I still think that's crazy, but
but he's got a lot of momentum after that. Shout out to Brian Battle on that head kick. I have to.
Yeah. You got to applaud it, haven't you?
God, when you just throw a lazy head kick and somehow it gets through the defense, like that.
Yeah, I think welterweight's his thing. That's what it is. Look good at welterweight. We'll see. But in terms of this, I think Milton's completely one-dimensional, and he has not been proven at all. He has not got the experience, the rating, anything. George, he hasn't faced the competition. Said it all. And the amateur fights he were having, it's Shinobi and Golden Ticket, and then you've got the IMMAF stuff like that. That's like a professional fight anyway.
He's training with good guys. Where's George training at this point?
I'm not sure where he's training at the moment. He's been all over the place.
Right, I know he's training with a lot of the best in England.
Yeah, if anyone does know, drop it. But I'm not too sure at the moment. But McManus is he's very good. His record is harsh, but if he has 10 fights, if he has 10 fights, I guarantee he'll probably have like 4 losses. He'll catch back up.
6 and 4. Yeah, I just don't see the 32-year-old Milton, then very short experience coming over from Portugal. I think it's going to be a tough one here for him. So I do like McManus. I like the price at minus 185. I think it's a good deal here. I think he's, more than a 2-1 favorite. He can win by KO, submission, or decision, and he's more experienced.
Do you know the reason it's a catch weight? Who's that favoring as well? Is that Milton cutting weight?
I mean, McManus, his whole career has been at 170, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I would assume it's favoring Milton, if anybody. The older guy, maybe tougher to cut to 170 at this point. Yeah, because, McManus has been 168 against Machado. Always makes weight at 170 as
You're going to call him Machado now as well?
Oh, yeah, I call him Machado. I like him way more than Gary. But he did fight at 185 in his debut, McManus did. So, and McManus is a taller guy at 6'2", so I think maybe it could favor both. Should be a good one. Next fight, let's keep it real. It's 155. It's 0-0 fighters. I've heard of Stephanie Evans, and she's out of Wales. I've never heard of Jasmine Rivero. She's 0-0. She's 5-1 as an amateur. Lost her final amateur fight in 2019, all but with IMAF though. IMAAF, however. Stephanie Evans, her fights have been with Cage Warriors Academy for the most part. She's 7-3. All of her wins, coming by decision, except for the ground and pound finish, and also an IMAF fighter as well. Getting a
She's lost to Jasmine in
amateur. She lost very quickly to Jasmine as well. So this is a rematch here. It's interesting. I was more familiar with Stephanie here. And, just out of that, I just edged towards her, but she does have a loss against Rivero in 48 seconds. So maybe Rivero knows how to kind of fix that. Maybe Stephanie's fixed that, kind of defensive lapse there. But, I'll go with Evans, but I'm not betting it. It's 2 0-0 fighters, and the 0-0 fighter who has a win at 22 is Jasmine Rivero. So, but Stephanie Evans I'm more familiar with. It's purely that. I'm not betting it. It's very close to the odds, too. Minus 110 for Stephanie, minus 120 for Jasmine.
Mine's coming off. She's had a couple fights since Jasmine has last fought. She hasn't fought in 3 years or so, since she was like 19. So what Stephanie's done in the last 2 amateur fights is just control and dominate and beat them into the ground. So female Khabib incoming, I hope Stephanie's improved a lot more. I think she has. And, I'm backing her. So I think Evans will make it 1-1.
Yep, fair enough.
It's the pro record that counts, isn't it?
Yep, there we go. So dust yourself off with that amateur loss and move on. Second to last prelim here. Very, very excited. I love this guy, and Chris Bungard, very underappreciated guy, and the bad guy taking on Eric De Silva here. Which This should be a good competitive fight here. I'll be breaking down De Silva first. Um, yeah, appreciate the love, Matthew. But yeah, Eric De Silva, Barbaro, 33 years old, out of Brazil here. This is at 161 catch weight. Normally a lightweight here, 22-7. 33 years old, 5'8". Fighting out of Astra Fight Team. Has some good guys. 2 straight losses coming into this, although it being to Guram and then Tai Queen Kim, 5-0 fighter with Brave, and then Guram. We all know how good Guram is. Al Sawadi, another loss with Brave there. So, very high level of
We'll say
competition.
Kim has won. He's 9-0 at the moment.
Yeah, he's on a roll.
Like he's on a
really
roll.
Good.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's really good. Eric Carlson, not a bad win at all with Brave either, albeit in 2018, had a split over Brian Hui, which is, a decent win, of course. Other than that, mostly Brazilian regional guys he's faced. He was on Tough Brazil. He lost to Joaquim Silva there by decision. No real shame there. He's well-rounded. He's been around for a while. He's very, very athletic, well-built. He's a little shorter, but he's going against Chris Bungard, another guy who's not exactly huge himself, but is going to be a little taller, at 3 inches taller. Both guys 33, Scottish Hit Squad. Bungard, he's been in there with just a ton of very, very high level guys. Lost to some of them in Primus, and Charlie Leary beat Benjamin Brander and Terry Brazier, which are good wins there. Coming off of a submission win last year and at Holy Town Havoc over 11-10 Arats Garamendia. So he got on the right track, but not exactly a win that I would give a huge rating to. I love Chris, man. I just think Eric is going to be a little bit better, a little bit more athletic, and a little bit stronger here. I think that Chris is, the miles are starting to kind of add on a little bit. I don't love that, he took such a step down in competition his last time out. I do respect a lot of the guys that Chris has been in there with, but I just think Eric is a little bit too much for him. He's the type of guy who beats Bungard, in my opinion. So I got Eric De Silva in this spot by decision.
Pretty identical to me, to be honest with you. I think he's just beaten some really good, talented people.
Mm-hmm.
And the Guram fight, he wasn't completely outclassed by Guram either.
No.
It was competitive. It wasn't close, like on the decision, but it was a competitive fight. Mm-hmm. And as you say, Kim's on a roll. Like these guys he's losing to are the future of the sport. They're the real deal. He's 33 years old. He's taken a few years off. So I'm hoping he's done it for his health, because he took some beatings in a couple fights. So you don't want to continue. Whereas what I do like about Chris is he has fought 3 times since Eric has last fought.
Mm-hmm.
So momentum is definitely with Chris, even though he got cut from Bellator and went over to whatever the hell.
Holy Town Havoc.
Is that what it was called? Yeah, I mean, whatever place that is. I mean,
that
just tells me
11 and 10 guy named Arats.
Yeah, I mean, that just tells me Chris is on one path, and it's the only opportunity he was given at that time was from a place called Holy Town Havoc. So, yeah. I mean,
sounds like a wrestling event, like a WWE, like Holy Town Havoc. Oh my God, JR. Holy Town Havoc. Chris Bungard has a steel chair.
Yeah, I'm gonna go Eric De Silva by steel chair.
Yeah, not steel chair shot.
Yeah, I think Silva will get him by decision.
Yeah, maybe it'll be a surprise like ladder match or something. Who knows? But yeah, Eric De Silva minus 200 favorite. That sucks, because I can't really trust that. It's been a while since he's fought. They're the same age. Chris Bungard's been in there with really good guys and had very close fights as well. So I can't get behind that price. But yeah, we're both on De Silva here. That is the featured prelim. Go to the first fight on the main card, which Tapology kind of has off to the side here. But it's a guy that you guys, everybody who's familiar with our breakdown should know. We're a huge fan of this guy. And that is Luke Riley. This guy is the real deal, man. He keeps proving it. I really like him. Everyone was on Bo round first finish. Only juice was under a minute, and he finished in just over 1:03. Yeah, that sucks. And then Big Show picks. What's up, Big Show? You never hit me up about that watch along, but I'm always down for one. Maybe even for the Cheeto fight. Who knows? But Sheriff Larossi, 1-1 Dutch fighter who's 20 years old, taking on 3-0 Luke Riley here. This is a tall task for the former featherweight here, and Sheriff here, 1-1. He's 20 years old, coming off of a win. Lost his MMA debut by decision to an 0-1 Jarrell Zegers, then beat an 0-1 Sergey Tanasoglu by third round rear naked choke. He's supposed to go against Scott Peterson. Luke Riley steps in now. That's a tough break. Going from Scott Peterson to Luke Riley, coming off of 3 straight wins by TKO. His stand-up is super crisp. Jack Eglin, a very legit prospect as well. He's going to be around. I got to go with Luke Riley here to get another TKO. There's just not much to decipher here, man.
Yeah, Luke Riley by inside too. This is again, they're set. I mean, next gen Liverpool have some unreal talent. Luke Riley is one of the major ones. In a few years, you'll see him at the title, and you'll see him. He'll be the next guy coming over into the UFC, making waves.
Just for a little bit of reference, Scott Peterson was a -225 favorite against Sheriff.
Yeah, I mean, what Luke Riley would do
-800.
Yeah. I mean, I thought the Jack Eglin fight was going to be close with Luke and him, but other than a couple shots where Eglin kind of was trying to wrestle, Luke just stuffed him and pieced him up, and it was.
I'm really curious to see how Eglin responds to that loss.
I think well, but
I do too.
Yeah, Luke's just got the best corner team, man, for that. I mean, they're unbelievable, and his team, Matt Bonnar
imagine going from Scott Peterson to Luke Riley.
Yeah, you can't train for that striking because his striking is higher than the level he is at currently. He's outperforming the level he's at. He's striking at someone that's, been in mixed martial arts for years or whatever, so you can't really train for it at that level. You're just going to get beaten.
Yeah, that's a simple one. Sorry, it's such a brief one, but like with fights like that, it's like how much is there to break down? Next fight on the main card, a guy who we love, Josh Reed taking on Bogdan Barbu. I like both these guys. I like Bogdan. He's got a lot of really enjoyable tape to watch.
Yeah.
Is he kind of a brawler? Yeah. Is he kind of get killed by guys who use their technical skills? Yeah. Is Josh Reed going to use his technical skills here after a little bit of a brawl? Yes. I think it's going to be a very good fight. I think this one is pretty spelled out. I'll go with Bogdan real quick just to go through his 17-13 record. He fights like a 17-13 guy. I don't know how else to put it, man. He's fun to watch. Don Dooley's, or the Dutch fighter, brawled with him, then got taken down and submitted. That's what's going to happen again. He's going to brawl, get taken down and submitted. The brawl with Cyprian Maris was fun to watch. I mean, he's got fun fights to watch, but it's like you'll see a lot of rear naked choke finishes, triangle finish, got finished by KO, gets into brawls, and he's kill or be killed for the most part. Has a few decisions, but guillotine choke finish, punch finish. When he goes against a striker, he gets struck out. When he goes against a grappler, he gets grappled out, and he beats kind of the guys in between there. Josh Reed coming off that fight with Luke Shanks, no shame there at all. Again, that's a really, really strong bantamweight. And Shanks just looked really good in that spot. PFL is tricky this weekend. I have the PFL picks at the end of my Bellator video, Banana and Grapes, and the only play on there for me is Carlos Leo over Sabah Dusai. Everything else, don't waste your money, in my opinion. But yeah, Josh Reed, I mean, Kurban Kurisev, he kind of showed when he's in there with a guy who is the levels above, he can use his IQ to get the fight to where he needs to. He gets the finish quickly. I think he gets a first or second round submission finish of Bogdan here.
I agree. I definitely agree. I thought he looked really good against Kurban. I know it was a catchweight fight. I think he came in at like close to 140 pounds for it. But Bogdan he's the definition of a journeyman, isn't he? He's really fun to watch, but if he gets clipped, he just throws caution to the wind. And a lot of his wins, unfortunately, if you actually go down the record, they're against guys that have, they're making their debuts when he's had 22 fights.
Yeah, or never fight again.
Yeah, exactly that. Or, they're like 10-14 and, they're 0, where was it? 2019, Mirko Jovanovic, 0-13.
Right.
Why is he, and he gets a heel hook. But so I think Bogdan is actually worse than his record suggests. I think Josh Reed is going to pretty easily beat Bogdan everywhere.
And Josh Reed is better than his record suggests.
Yes, exactly. It's like mixed between the two. Josh Reed is a very good striker. Even though he's got a lot of finishes by grappling, he's very good in the pocket. He's got some heavy hands, works the body really well. And I think Bogdan's in pretty big trouble here.
Yeah, and I think this is definitely one of those spots where you're doing your cross promotion parlays and everything. Josh Reed minus 275. That's a steal, man.
That is a steal.
I really do. Like, and this is, again, one of these things the odds makers, they see, they're like, he's 12-7, and he lost his last time on. It's just Josh Reed's better than that record, and Bogdan's worse. And again, we've seen how Josh Reed handles when he's levels above a opponent who's decent, like Kerbin. Like, I think that submission for Josh happens minus 275. I do think is parlayable for the weekend. So
yeah, if you remember when he nearly knocked out Nathaniel Wood in that brawl.
Yeah, that was a great fight.
Yeah.
Josh is good, man. I don't rate the Romanian Bogdan Barbu that highly there. So, next fight here is at 125. Still one of my favorite guys in the division. I respect this guy a lot. He's definitely overachieved, is Aaron Abbey. I mean, the guy just sticks around. He's steady as she goes, taking on a young, guy who I think is over his head in Michelangelo Lupuli. 5-2 for the Italian here. I'm not sure why they're rushing him into this spot here, but he is 28 years old, but 5-2 as a pro. 2 straight wins, one over 6-1 Tangio Pagliarico. His last time out in Milano in the cage, that was last year. That's a very good win, though. We've seen Tanio since then. Before that, though, Silvano Bolgani, 6-11. Lost to Forno Manuel Milito with a first-round rear naked choke. Lost to an 0-4 Albin Sinai back in 2016. Not really things you love to see on the record there. For me, with Aaron Abbey, he just is a very steady, very wily, fights like a veteran, even though I believe he's still in his 20s. Just kind of steady as she goes. 2 straight wins now. Over the one over Gerardo Fanny, absolutely cooked him. And then
that's a win. That's a win.
Absolutely proved his worth. Before that, Samir Fadin, not a bad win, even though he's 12-7 coming off of the Sam Creasy loss, showed that he still had a lot of confidence in there, was able to come. I mean, Aaron Abbey comes back from a lot of adversity in his fights, and I really respect that about him. He's well-rounded. I think this is too much for Michelangelo early, and Abbey coming off his best performance of his career over Gerardo Fanny. The Welsh fighter here is going to have a ton of support. He's got a great story. This is a lot for Lupuli, and I love Abbey in this spot. So he's another minus 275 favorite that I really like, but the 2 Welsh, Reed and Abbey, are 2 of my favorite bets on the card.
Yeah, he's just got to watch out, for getting grapple fucked, essentially. He hasn't got to deal with the striking element. He was competitive with Sam Creasy on the feet for a large portion of that fight. Yeah. Sam Creasy is a very, very high-level striker. So Lupuli here, I think if he can't get Abbey down... Do you remember the Mick Stanton Darren Stewart fight?
Yes.
Okay, horrible fight, obviously. But if Mick couldn't get Darren down within the first minute, Darren wins that fight. The fact that he opened up and sprinted his legs and get him, I think that's what Lupuli's going to do. He's going to make sure he gets him down immediately and make that hesitant for Abbey, so he stops that. It's that sort of game plan. I think he has got no chance on the feet, in my opinion, unless he gets the catches Abbey. He coming in, but I just think Abbey's too good. I think that Gerardo Fanny win for me just cemented him. He is Creasy's level. He just needs to get back. He's working his way back up there now. So,
and bananas and grapes right now. Betway as well. DraftKings is starting to add the lines there, and Bovada should have the lines up by tomorrow. It's a Saturday card, so they usually have them up a little late. But those are the ones with the lines currently. Minus 265 on Abbey, or minus 275 on Abbey here. But definitely bringing up that Darren Stewart fight makes me nervous about betting anybody. But on the co-main event, we talked about it earlier. I think this is a fascinating co-main event, a really high-quality one. Oban Elliott taking on Matthew Bonnar here. And Oban Elliott, another guy who better than his record, but we're still trying to figure out how good he is. And, I mean, again, he's getting thrown right back into the deep end here against the 31-year-old Matthew Bonnar. It's hard to believe Matthew Bonnar is only 31. But There we go.
What a rejuvenated career he's had.
Absolutely. Oban Elliott, offshore mixed martial arts, won against Hercules Luka Zunis in his last fight, got the rear naked choke there, which was really nice to see. Before that, Medeiros Fluminense did what Medeiros Fluminense does, survive the early barrage and then put on a barrage of his own and he got the finish, man. I love Medeiros. I'm not going to, shame him too much. Before that, the George McManus fight really showed that power in that 1 2-minute knockout there. Oban's got legit power and is pretty well-rounded. Has a good wrestling game, good grappling. His other loss to Mike Fikolek in the 3rd round. So, I mean, he's been put away by punches by 2 very, very high-quality, good individuals in all ways. Matthew Bonnar, 12-7, rejuvenated that career. 2 straight wins since losing to Mellon in that fight. That was just a horrible fight. Just really shocked me how poorly Matthew was prepared. Hugo Pereira and Joel Kulja, though. Low levels, man. Joel, I get, was on a little bit of a run going into that fight. Still a weird fight, and he won with a one-armed rear naked choke.
He was 6-5 win streak, wasn't he, Joel, going into that?
Yeah,
he'd lost like the first 7 fights of his career and then won the next 6.
Joel was very dangerous with the hands, and Matthew, showed he was able to really avoid that. I think going into this one, I originally was like, oh yeah, Matthew Bonnar just kind of uses his guile, uses his wrestling, stretches him out, grapples him up, and puts him away. But I kind of, a part of me has a feeling Oban's going to shock people on Saturday and get the biggest win of his career and continue to fight guys over his head. I think that, it's hard for me to pick Oban by anything but than KO in this spot. It's hard for me to pick him to win a decision over Matthew Bonnar, but I could see that. Bonnar seems a bit off on the feet, and Oban's going to throw more eye-catching shots. Welsh crowd. UFC betting experience asking about the decision. It's hard for me to see the decision. I do think that he can catch him because of kind of how Matthew's been looking a little questionable on the feet, and Oban has a much more well-rounded game than Joel. I get Joel had won 6 straight when going into that, but the grappling was still the huge hole in Joel's game that if you were able to get it, exploits it. Oban's got a little bit of defensive grappling and defensive wrestling there to go with it. And I'm just not sure if Matthew is able to get that respect on the feet to be able to get the whole game. So I got a feeling, maybe I look bad, but I got Oban by KO in this one, man. I think he catches him first or second round and puts away Matthew Bonnar.
Well, I agree with your first analysis of Matthew Bonner's going to wear him out, tie him down, grapple him. Okay. But I completely understand the Oban Elliott shouts here. Like he's got so much hype behind him, and betting experience makes a great point. It's in Wales, that is going to be the Welsh crowd. When you have your own fight, you know it. You know what Americans are like when they chant their own guys. Main event. Exactly. Matt Bonnar, what he's done though, from going to Liverpool and training with Next Gen and turning his entire career around from what was essentially like a bang average joke fighter. And now he is a legitimate elite level guy that has won the belt and is looking to actually progress. He's not that old. He's 31 years old. So people think, because he's been around for so long, you just immediately... Matthias Frederick, James Webb, champion. Hugo Pereira, not a champion, but, coming back on. Dejati Mellon was horrible, as you say. But I think it was more preparation. He's beaten some very, very high-level guys. Oban, has he beaten high-level guys? No. That's the one thing. If he beats Matt Bonnar,
by far the biggest win of his career.
That 100%. Like, he kind of just, he got messed up by Madders, and Figlak was only like 2-0 at the point and just ran through him. So he's there to be ran through, but I think they might they mirror each other through the first rounds and how they fight. So I wouldn't be surprised if Oban just tries to, he's just going to use defensive wrestling. He's not even going to entertain the grappling and just stand up there. And I think he does have better striking. So I am going Matthew Bonnar. I think he's a safer pick. Mm-hmm. But I 100% believe Oban Elliott can do this.
Yeah. And he's
worth a punt if he's a big underdog.
Yeah, and he's not as big of an underdog as I would have liked in this spot. I'm looking at the odds as we're doing this right here. Minus 225 for Bonnar. I think that's about what he should be. Unfortunately, I think that's pretty accurate based on what we've seen out of both guys. I would like to bet Oban if he was in the minus 250 range or plus 250 range, but right now plus 160, I can't justify the bet. So I'm actually gonna leave this one for now. But I'm gonna take Oban by KO. On to the main event here. Sam Creasy taking on Stipe Brcic here, the Croatian fighter Stipe Brcic making his Cage Warriors debut in a title fight. Kind of weird, but again, things you gotta do when Sam Creasy's opponents aren't making weight and stuff. It just is what it is. Start with Stipe here. Hard to find tape on him.
Yep.
And that's always kind of tough. 10-2, 2 straight wins for him, a decision and an injury over a 14-2 Nuno Costa. Last December was his last win. Kind of do a Tapology dive. He has a couple rear naked choke wins, a heel hook as well. He has one KO win by 13 seconds. Otherwise, no KOs. One of his losses coming by eye injury. He was knocked out by Hersed Krakorov, who we do know Krakorov. Very good level of opponent, but he was knocked out by him. Sam Creasy, 15-4. He's faced a who's who. Got knocked out by Luke Shanks in the last fight. So it's kind of going to be interesting to see how he responds here.
Shanks did miss weight as well.
Right, and Shanks missed weight by what? How many pounds? Didn't he miss weight by like 3 or 4 pounds?
I think he stopped trying at a point.
Yeah. So, and then Sam learned from that in the next fight against Dylan Hazan. So I'm not taking a fight with someone not making weight. And so definitely Creasy, coming into this fight, he just wants to get a win back on his record after losing to overweight Shanks. He's got wins over Adam Ansinger, a finish of him, Aaron Abbey, finished Luke Shanks the first time they're around. He has a loss to Samir Fadine, who I pointed out not being a bad fighter at all a few fights ago as well, with Aaron Abbey having a win over him. Connor Hignett put him away. This is a tough one just because I'm making a blind pick. Sam Creasy going against a guy who I don't believe has a ton of striking, acumen, which is a little more where I'm worried about Sam after his reaction to shots against Luke Shanks, even before he was KO. It just looked like everything was really affecting him. I don't think Stipe has that striking level. I think overall Creasy is going to be a little bit better overall and not going to be able to be heel hooked, Achilles hook, things like that. So Creasy, but again, Stipe, I haven't seen him fight. I couldn't find any tape on him. And Creasy coming off, of some tough fights here. Stipe Brcic as well, not able to find a lot of info on him. He doesn't look like a particularly big 125er from the picture there, but
no, you can find the Megden fight against Serbu, where pretty much Serbu's about 5 inches shorter than him, stocky guy, and just all Stipe wants to do is pressurize him with large overspending hooks. Oversteps massively.
Oh, right, the Serbu fight, I couldn't find a win of his. That's right.
You can't find wins now because they're a little bit of a corrupt organizations there. Sam's going to piece him up. He's going to be in and out. His striking is not even close. And what Serbu was able to do is just grab a body lock and switch him to the floor and just beat him up on the floor as well. I think Sam's better on the floor than him as well, and he's not renowned for grappling at all. So for me, Sam Creasy is just going to be in and out, tapping him up for bits, and Stipe is going to be looking for a way out. I'm not sure if it's going to be a finish, but I would suspect it if it's a 5-round fight. So
yeah, and Sam you can get for under minus 200 right now, minus 190.
Yeah, I mean,
on Sam
Stipe's not proven against anybody.
Plus 140 for an unproven Brcic. Was it an eye poke? The Serbu fight? No,
eye injury.
It was a punch.
It's a punch, yeah.
Right, it was a punch in the eye. And Sam Creasy. Here's the thing: Sam Creasy's.
I think his eye just swelled shut. You couldn't open it at all.
Yeah, he's 34 and a half years old, and Stipe's 29, nearly 30. So again,
Sam's always in great physical condition though. He's 34. 34.
Yeah, I like Creasy here as well. I like the price at minus 190, even though it is a somewhat blind pick with my only fight being a loss there. If Bo Nickel fighting on this card, I got him. Bo Nickel is not on this card, Justin. I wish I had heard earlier in this week Sam's line all week because of that. I missed minus 137 Stipe left me confused. Yeah, that's just that shouldn't have been the line opener. So, yeah, that's crazy. But yeah, that's gonna do it for the Cage Warriors 142 breakdown show. We had 11 fights on the card. A few of them, pretty clear picks. But yeah, it should be a good weekend. That is on Saturday. So Saturday morning for us over in the States, we have Cage Warriors, then PFL in the afternoon, and then the UFC to finish off on Saturday. Bellator 284 tomorrow, Friday night. Bellator breakdown on the channel already. I'll be adding the timestamps after this. PFL picks at the end of the Bellator video. And yeah, Lewis is, kind of starting a new job and everything. He's been working with that. And so his videos are going to be coming back. With anything coming up on your channel?
Yeah, this week's kind of been a week off for the channel, but I'm filming a few more and got a few coming out for UFC 278. So there should be a few more out for that. Nice. Mainly the main card. I'm even going to do a Tyson Pedro Harry Hunsucker. Yeah. God. Hey, content is content. But it's all about Leon Edwards and Jose Aldo for me. So.
Oh my God, Harry Hunsucker making his 205 debut.
It'll be a 1 minute video, I'm pretty sure, but it's still
it'll be a 1 minute fight, please. But either way, great breakdown, Lewis, as always. UFC breakdown is going to be on the channel tomorrow. I'm probably going to do it right after the UFC weigh-ins, vacation, threw everything back. So I'll be more into the UFC earlier in the week next week. But might as well just late in the week, make it a post-weigh-in show like it is with the Bellator show. So everybody else already had theirs up earlier. But these at least have a little extra angle there with it being later in the week. So shout out to you, Leo in the back saying goodbye. Keep taking care of each other out there, everybody.